Today I finally received my Zara package with the 4 new amber fragrances that I had actually ordered over 2.5 weeks ago, but a lot of things went wrong with my order. I will spare you the details, but yeah, that is why I'm only today making this review video. Now the thing is, I'm just gonna be honest, I'm leaving for vacation tomorrow morning. So I have a lot of stuff going on today. I don't have a lot of time, and I didn't really want to wait with the review as I feel like I'm a little late with it already. So I have been testing them for the past hour. But of course, I don't have the time to really test them on skin individually. So I'm not going to be able to tell you a lot about the longevity or how exactly it performs on skin. So I've given them a spray on tester strips and also in the air. Sometimes when you just spray something in the air, you can also tell how long it stays. Yeah, it's not the same as on skin, but still it kind of gives you an indication. I mean, if you spray a fragrance in a certain room of your house and then like 30 minutes after you go and get something from that room and you still really smell that fragrance, you know, it's probably a well-performing or long-lasting fragrance. So just to give you an idea, but yeah, sorry about not being able to tell you about how these fragrances wear on skin. But of course, there are always people in the comment section who share their experiences with the fragrances that I talk about. So if you have experiences with wearing them on skin, please let me know in the comments. It's very useful for other people. They are able to read it, and yeah, that is how we all help each other out. So yeah, enough chit chat, let's just get started. So I got the Discovery set, which they now released, so you don't have to buy every fragrance individually if you want to try them all. This is what the box looks like. And it has 4 of the 30 ml bottles, and here in Belgium where I live, this was only 30 euros. So very budget friendly for 4 30 ml fragrances. Of course, depending on where you live, the prices could be different. But the names of the fragrances are Stellar Amber, Amber Fever, Amber Satin, and Amber in Bloom. As of today, there are no notes or there are no Fragrantica listings of these fragrances. So we will just have to use my, you know, just how I perceive them and also the notes given by Zara. But if you know Zara fragrances, you know that you always have to take the notes given by Zara with a huge grain of salt, because sometimes it just doesn't, it's just not what the fragrance smells like. All right, so let's get started with the first one that I tried, and that was Amber Satin. So the notes listed on the Zara website are just amber and warm spices. So I gave this one a spray, and I gotta say, my first impression with that opening was very, very good. It is a very warm, sweet, not sugary sweet, but like a very sophisticated type of warm sweetness. I really liked the opening. I thought this is very nice. I was already impressed. And the sweetness sort of reminded me of like a Coke, like the soda Coca-Cola. Yeah, it sort of had something like that. And so I tried to find out what the sweeter notes are, because it's not like I said, it's not a sugary whipped cream type of sweetness. It's more of it could be tobacco, it could even be cherry, maybe some praline, could also have some vanilla. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if one or several of these notes were in this fragrance, but like I said, I don't have the exact notes, but that's sort of the type of sweetness that I'm picking up on. And then of course there's a prominent amber note, and also I feel like this has a woody note as well. I'm kind of thinking the woody note in here is oud. Now, I'm not an oud fan in general. I can only appreciate ouds if they're very, very subtle, and in this fragrance it is quite subtle, so it's not like an oud blast or yeah, it's not overly oudy, but I do definitely think it has some oud. I would describe this fragrance as being unisex, maybe slightly masculine leaning, but still unisex. And it reminded me of two other fragrances, but then in the final dry down it started to remind me of another fragrance. So at first, when I was still sniffing it and it hadn't really fully dried down, it sort of reminded me a little bit, I'm not saying it smells the same, but it's sort of in the same vibe as Zara's Ebony Wood. Now, I don't know what it is with Ebony Wood, but I've always picked up on a cherry note in that fragrance, but I've always described it as smelling like a cherry potpourri. Kind of have that vibe in this fragrance. I'm not saying, you know, we just had a cherry release. I've already made a video about that. Feel free to check it out. I will link it in the description below. But I don't know what it is, but I'm getting a little bit of a cherry note in this fragrance as well. And then the second fragrance it reminded me of, which it actually reminds me a lot more of than Ebony Wood, is Kayali's Invite Only, which I happen to own. Now, I haven't owned this for very long. I've only worn it once. And this is the only oud, or the only fragrance that has an oud note in my collection. This one I really love because the oud is so subtle. It's more of a sweet, like, I don't know what the notes are anymore, but like a vanilla, whipped cream, amber with some oud. That is what I love about this fragrance. And actually, Amber Satin is quite similar to this one. I wouldn't really call it a dupe. I don't think they're close enough, because in the dry down, this one started to remind me of yet another fragrance, which is, and I'm not even sure if I'm saying the right one, but MFK's Oud Satin Mood. But it could also be Oud Silk Mood. I don't really remember which one of those fragrances this reminds me of, but if you like fragrances sort of like Ebony Wood, Kayali Invite Only, and Oud Satin Mood by MFK, those types of fragrances, I think you're gonna like this one. This is not by any means one of Zara's cheap, synthetic, juvenile smelling fragrances, which they also have, let's just be honest. But this is really a very, very well-made fragrance. I think it smells expensive. I think it smells niche, to be honest. And yeah, well done, Zara. I think it's a very, very well-made fragrance. I'm gonna rate this an 8.5 out of 10. For me personally, it's a little bit, just a little bit too masculine. But yeah, like I said, I really love my feminine fragrances. And I also have my Invite Only already in my collection, so I don't think I need this one, but I do think it is absolutely worth checking out. So yeah, that was Amber Satin. The next one I tried is Amber Fever. And the notes listed by Zara are just golden amber, orchid, and bourbon vanilla. Now, I would advise you to ignore these given notes, as you may expect a vanilla amber type of fragrance, and I don't think, I mean, if you expect that, I think you're going to be disappointed with this one. This, to me, when I sprayed it, instantly gave me a blast of a very like smoky, leathery, like woody, smoky, leathery, maybe even cardamom-y type of scent. Instantly reminded me of another Zara fragrance. I don't think it's the same one repackaged, but they're definitely similar. And that is Bohemian Oud, which is one of the oud fragrances that Zara once released. They're not around anymore, but if you liked Bohemian Oud, then I think this one is definitely worth checking out. By the way, a lot of people think Zara's Bohemian Oud is a dupe for Replicas by the Fireplace. Let me just tell you that is not the case. They are similar in category because they're both sort of sweet but woody, smoky. But yeah, don't think it's a dupe. I'm talking about Bohemian Oud now. So Bohemian Oud is not a dupe for By the Fireplace, but this is very similar to Bohemian Oud. I always sniff first, write down my notes, and then I go check out the notes given, because if I see the notes given, then it always, you know, somehow it always influences what you're smelling. So I kind of want to smell it without being influenced, let's say. But then when I checked the notes and I saw bourbon vanilla, I was like, what? I'm not really getting that. But there's probably some vanilla in here, but don't expect like a very vanilla heavy fragrance. That is not the case. There's some vanilla just to balance out the woody smokiness, or the smoky leatheriness, I should say. So yeah, and then Orchid, not getting that at all. And then actually after all of those smoky leathery notes that I got, the more that it dried down, the more peppery it became. I found it to be very spicy. Yeah, like a cardamom pepper spice mix, something like that. I think it's very masculine, which is also a little bit ironic because in the description on the website, Zara sort of says that it leaves a very feminine scent trail, and yeah, it's, to me, it's the opposite. I think it's very masculine. I mean, I'm not saying women can't wear this, of course you can, but just be aware that if you don't like unisex or masculine leaning fragrances, you're probably not gonna like this. So yeah, it is not really my thing. It's too peppery, it's too leathery, it's too smoky, it's too masculine. I'm gonna give this one a 6 out of 10 because I don't think it's a bad fragrance, but it's really not for me. So yeah, that was Amber Fever. Moving on, the next one I tried was Stellar Amber. The notes given by Zara on the website is juicy pear, peach, osmanthus, olibanum, and saffron. So when I first gave it a spray, I could definitely tell that it's peachy, but it's not peachy like, I feel like a lot of times when I smell a peach fragrance, it very often reminds me of like a synthetic peach shower gel. That is not the case with this one. This is a very like milky, it's milky, creamy, slightly powdery, which is probably the osmanthus, but like that type of peach. I gotta be honest, at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about this one, but osmanthus is a tricky note for me. I don't usually like it. I think it's just a weird note, and whenever it's in a fragrance, it just sort of bothers me. And I did have the same experience with this one. So if you're like me and you don't like osmanthus, I don't think you're gonna like this fragrance. But I gotta be honest, the more it dried down, the more I actually did start to like it. I don't think I like it enough to actually keep, but there's something very likable about this fragrance. Not getting saffron at all. Could just be me, but no, that is not something that I'm getting, which is a good thing because saffron is also a tricky note for me. If I had to describe what this smells like, I gotta be honest, it sort of smells like two things. At first, I don't know why this popped up in my head, but you know, when you go to the beach on vacation or just in your own country if you have a beach, but you go to the beach and you have those beach stores, not on the beach, but by the beach, you know, those sort of cheap stores, and they have everything beach related. They have the what do you call it? Like the floating things, I don't even know the English word, but the things that you have to blow up so you can float in the water, those things, and the sun tanning lotions. Yeah, sort of like those little stores, you know what I mean? It kind of reminded me of that. So there is something very sunny about this fragrance. Now the second thing this fragrance started to remind me of is actually like a peach yogurt. Or if you're from Europe, you probably know Petit Gervais. It sort of smells like a peach Petit Gervais, but if you don't know what that is, let's just say a peach yogurt, like a drink of peach yogurt or something. There's something very lactonic about this fragrance. Take what I'm going to say now with a huge grain of salt, but it's ever so slightly reminding me of Blanche Bête, which I have recently been able to add to my collection. Love it. Yeah, but that one is super, super vanilla, milky, creamy. It's very, very lactonic. A lot of people think it's too lactonic. I personally love it. But it sort of has just a little bit of Blanche Bête, but then added smooth amber and peach. So hopefully that sort of gives you an idea. Like I said, at first I wasn't too sure about this one, but I started to like it the more it dried down. I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10. I gotta say it is the weirdest fragrance of them all, so I'm really curious to hear what you guys think of this fragrance. Let me know in the comments. Now the last fragrance I tried was Amber in Bloom. And if you've made it this far into the video and you're enjoying it or it's somewhat helpful, you would really help me out if you would give it a thumbs up. And of course, feel free to subscribe if you want to see more Zara fragrance related videos. But yeah, let's just move on to the last fragrance, Amber in Bloom. The notes listed by Zara are jasmine, tuberose, amber, and cashmeran. Gave this a spray, and the first reaction that I had when just like the first scented molecules hit my nose was wow. Absolutely loved it. No surprise there. I do love floral notes, especially tuberose. Love tuberose. So it's no surprise that I loved the opening, but yeah. Really, really gorgeous. The tuberose is not, in my opinion, bubblegummy or anything. It really is a smooth, also sort of creamy, a little bit lactonic, not a lot, but it's not like, it's not bubblegummy tuberose like Armani My Way or something. I don't like that type of tuberose. I like it when it's just floral. And yeah, I really like this one. It's very feminine as well. By the way, the first two that I talked about, Amber Satin and Amber Fever, to me personally were very fall and wintry. Then the previous one, Stellar Amber, the one with the peach and pear note, that one I found very sunny actually. And this one is also more of a, it's kind of a year-round fragrance. I don't think it's dark and moody and yeah, also not masculine. It's more of a signature scent type of fragrance. And actually, the more I'm smelling this now that it has dried down, I know what this really reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of Alien. Zara has duped Alien a few times before. I have one of the dupes. It's Splendid Bronze, and they made two versions of Splendid Bronze. Both of them are now also discontinued. And I'm not saying this is a one-on-one dupe of Alien, but it's definitely similar. If you like Alien or Rouge Malachite, kind of smells like Rouge Malachite as well, which I also don't own, but I do have a very good dupe for it. Love it. One of my absolute fragrances in my entire collection, or actually one of the best fragrances I've ever smelled. Rouge Malachite is basically a tuberose and amber fragrance, whereas Alien is a jasmine amber fragrance. So it totally makes sense that this reminds me of both of them. If you want a merge between Rouge Malachite and Alien, give this one a try. For me, this is my favorite. Again, I love florals, so that makes sense. If you're into gourmands, I think your favorite could be... I think your favorite would be Stellar Amber, even though I don't think it's super gourmand, but yeah, the peach yogurt thing is there. But definitely the most floral one is Amber in Bloom. So if you like florals like me, give this one a try. So this is my favorite. I'm gonna rate this one I think I'm gonna give it an 8.5, even though Rouge Malachite and Alien both get like 9.5s or 10s even for me. I gotta be honest, this one does lack a little bit of the wow factor that those other two have, but still very, very good fragrance. So yeah, if you like those two, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like this one, and that was Amber in Bloom. By the way, don't click away just yet, because Zara also released 4 new musk fragrances, which I ordered, and I actually ordered them almost 2 weeks after I've ordered the amber fragrances, and I got both of them today. So yeah, these are the ones: Zara Linen Musk, Cashmere Musk, Musk Confidential, and Merino Musk. I can't wait to try these. I'm definitely going to, but unfortunately I won't be able to make a review before I leave on vacation. I mean, I'm squeezing in this video, so I just don't have the time. I will be back in a little over a week, and then the first thing I'm gonna do is try the fragrances and make a review video about those. So if you don't want to miss that, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know, as usual, in the comments what your experiences are with these new amber fragrances. I would love to hear. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and I will see you for the next one. Bye!